You know what it is? I love it.
You're going to meet people who are scrupulous. You need to know these things, because the first instinct when meeting someone who's scrupulous is not the right instinct. Okay, so you have a friend, you have an acquaintance who's scrupulous. They need you. They need your help. They don't just need a psychiatrist's help. They need friends. And they need a psychiatrist's help sometimes. A lot of the time if it's severe, and you should encourage that. Okay, but here's what happens. They go, and you're in a college, usually is where this is happening, or some religious inside politic type place, the Vatican or something. And they're saying, oh, I'm worried about this, and it's just some weird issue. And they're inviting you to hash it out with them, They're hashing it out because, their mind's in a loop that they keep questioning, like, is this really the right thing to do? Or can I do this, or this, or this, or this? And they're just thinking about it again and again and again and again. And your first instinct as a friend of someone who's going through this is to, hash it out with them, talk it through. And then, you're surprised because the next day, a very similar issue. And the first issue, you kind of came to the conclusion was ridiculous. And this issue is kind of ridiculous too. And you're like, why is this person so hard-headed that they can't get it? They're being irrational. They have a problem called scrupulosity, that they're being fixated on a religious issue like it's the question of whether or not Jesus Christ died for your sins, but really it's the question of, can I walk into a church if I wear shorts? It's like some weird question. It's not central to the faith at all. It's not like a real theological dispute. It's a tangential thing. Don't reason with people when someone is irrational like this. If you're close to them at all, you need to not reason with them and not participate in this. If they say, am I good enough to go to communion? Am I do this? Yes, they are. Now shut up. Talking about it ad nauseum is participating in their spiritual disease. It's not really making them worse, but it's definitely not helping them get better. And it's like contributing to the broken record that's in their head that keeps repeating these questions. What you need to do is get them off track. Talk about anything besides that. Talk about the football game, talk about U2 concert, talk about whatever you want to talk about, but you're not talking about the stupid stuff, the stupid spiritual minutia. So get over that. When you talk to them, do not encourage them to go pray about it or whatever. Their prayer thinker is broken a little bit. They need to pray a little bit, and they need to go to Mass, and they need to do some things that are religious. But when you tell them to keep praying about it, you're telling them to go into a corner and listen to their broken record. Their mind is like a muscle that has a cramp, okay? They've overworked it, and it's cramping. And if you tell someone with a physical cramp to go back to the gym and pump more iron, you're not helping them. You need to relieve it. You need to help them relax. You need to help them get some sleep at night, because probably they're not. In addition to this, get outside the spiritual model of these problems. What I mean by the spiritual model is just like having a spiritual explanation for everything. So oh, you're having a problem. It must be demons, as far as I know, it is demons, but it's irrelevant. Do not tell that to them. It doesn't help them. They need to be attacking this from all these angles, and if they keep hearing a spiritual explanation for their problem, they're going to keep tackling it in the spiritual way, which is going to keep them flexing that cramped muscle and keep them sitting in the corner listening to the broken record and keep them beating themselves up and getting a very unworthy opinion of God. And all religion is on the line in this, meaning if you have severe scrupulosity, or even mild scrupulosity, loss of faith is a real issue. It happens, and when they lose it, some of them might even be better for having lost it because the faith they were thinking of was distorted so much anyway. That's a pretty severe thing to say, but this is not the Christian God that is causing, these ideas of this unmerciful God is just not what it's about. So you as a friend need to get it off that. If you ever talk about God, you talk about it as love. talk about, as St. Alphonsus said, plentiful redemption. You don't need to be going into all this other stuff, and definitely don't get in debates about the minutiae of sin. If you can tell them they're forgiven, if they went to confession and they're worried that they didn't confess well enough, just tell them they're forgiven and God's going to make up the difference, and cut that conversation off. Promote professional help. Psychiatrists are the ones who prescribe drugs. Psychologists are the ones who talk to you. They probably need both. Keep to the basics of religion. Don't ever let yourself go into tangential stuff. And physical activity is good. I do a lot of construction work, and I've had people who were scrupulous, and I'll just have them help me with something, even if it's not that important. I've also taken people for walks and stuff where you're trying to talk about anything besides what they're worried about. Anything that'll help just like get them a little bit outside their heads is what you want. So please be a good friend. It's a trying time. Don't let it get you upset. If you yourself are tempted towards scrupulosity and they are triggering your own scrupulosity, you may need to remove yourself from the situation and encourage other friends to take up the slack. That's to kind of contain the disease, because somehow it is a communicable disease. It is also something very akin in the secular psychiatrist understanding, which is not false, of just obsessive-compulsive disorder. So just know that, and do your best, love them, but just don't participate in all the hashing out.